Velra stood in the gray corridor of the military station and read the orders on her data screen for the third time. She hoped the words would change. They did not. "Prisoner escort duty," she said quietly. Her voice was tired. "They give me prisoner escort duty." She had served the Torvian Empire for 12 cycles. She had fought in 3 border wars. She had earned 2 marks of honor on her chest plate. And now, command wanted her to guard a single prisoner during transport. It was an insult. She was sure of it. The station was cold and busy. Other soldiers walked past her without looking. They had real missions. They had purpose. Velra had a prisoner to babysit. She walked toward the holding cells at the far end of the station. Her boots made heavy sounds on the metal floor. The lights above her head buzzed with a low hum. Everything felt wrong today. When she reached the holding area, a young officer named Corin was waiting for her. He was tall and thin, with pale blue skin like most Torvians. His eyes looked nervous. "Officer Velra," he said. "The prisoner is inside. Cell 7. "What species?" Velra asked. Corin looked at his own data screen. "Human," he said. "From the planet called Earth." Velra stopped walking. She turned to face him. "A human?" "Yes. Why does command want a human transported under guard?" she asked. "Humans are weak. They are small. They have no natural weapons." "What threat could one human possibly be?" Corin shook his head. "I do not know. The orders came from High Command directly. They want him alive and unharmed. That is all I was told." Velra made a sound of frustration. This made no sense. Humans were one of the youngest species in the galaxy. They had only discovered space travel a few hundred cycles ago. Their bodies were soft. Their bones broke easily. They could not survive in extreme heat or cold. They needed to eat and sleep more than almost any other species. In short, they were weak. "Fine," Velra said. "Show me the prisoner." Corin led her to cell 7. The door was made of thick metal, with a small window at the top. Velra looked through the window and saw the human inside. He was sitting on the floor with his back against the wall. His legs were crossed. His hands rested on his knees. His eyes were closed. He was smaller than Velra expected. His skin was a light brown color. His hair was black and short. He wore simple gray clothes that all prisoners wore. He looked young, maybe 30 cycles in human years. "What is his name?" Velra asked. "Te-Ho," Corin said. "That is what he told us." "What did he do? Why was he captured?" Corin looked uncomfortable. "He was found on a Torvian research vessel. He had no permission to be there. He would not explain how he got aboard or what he wanted. A spy? Maybe. Command wants to question him at the central base. That is why he needs transport." Velra watched the human through the window. He had not moved. He had not opened his eyes. He seemed completely calm, like he was sleeping while sitting up. "He does not look dangerous," Velra said. "He is not," Corin agreed. "He has caused no trouble. He does not fight. He does not complain. He just sits there like that for hours. Strange. Very strange." Velra stepped back from the door. "When does the transport ship leave?" 2 hours. You will have 4 soldiers with you. The journey to the central base takes 6 days. 6 days with a weak, quiet human prisoner. Velra felt her frustration grow stronger. This was a waste of her skills. This was a punishment, even if command did not call it one. "I understand," she said. "I will prepare." 2 hours later, Velra stood in the landing bay and watched the soldiers load supplies onto the transport ship. It was a medium-sized vessel, built for long journeys. It had sleeping quarters, a medical room, a small kitchen, and a holding cell for prisoners. The 4 soldiers assigned to her were young. They had little experience. Velra did not know any of them by name. She did not care to learn. The human, Te-Ho, walked onto the ship with his hands bound in front of him. 2 soldiers held his arms, but he did not resist. He walked calmly, looking around at everything with quiet interest. When he passed Velra, he looked at her and smiled. It was a small smile, gentle, almost kind. Velra did not smile back. She did not understand why a prisoner would smile at his guard. It made her uncomfortable. "Put him in the cell," she ordered. "Make sure the door is locked." The soldiers obeyed. They led Taeho to the back of the ship and locked him inside the holding cell. Velra followed and checked the lock herself. It was secure. Through the cell door window, she could see Taeho sitting down on the small bed inside. He looked at her and smiled again. "Thank you," he said. His voice was soft and clear. He spoke the common galactic language well, with only a small accent. "For what?" Velra asked. "For not putting the hand bindings too tight," he said. "Some guards make them very tight. It hurts." Velra did not know what to say. She had not given any orders about the bindings. The soldiers had done it themselves. "Do not thank me," she said. "I am not your friend. I am your guard." "I know," Taeho said. "But you can be both." Velra turned away without answering. She walked to the front of the ship and sat in the command chair. The pilot, a young Torvian woman, was already preparing for launch. "Ready when you are, officer," the pilot said. "Go," Velra said. The ship lifted off the station floor and flew out into the darkness of space. Stars filled the windows like scattered pieces of light. The station grew smaller behind them until it disappeared. 6 days, Velra thought. 6 days with a strange human who smiled at guards and said thank you for nothing. She closed her eyes and tried to rest. She had a feeling this journey would be longer than she wanted. In the holding cell, Taeho sat quietly and watched the stars through a small window. His face was calm. His breathing was slow and steady. He was waiting. He had been waiting for a long time. And soon, very soon, the waiting would end. The first day of the journey passed slowly. Velra spent most of her time in the command room, watching the stars move past the windows. The ship was quiet. The soldiers played card games in the common area. The pilot kept the vessel on course, and the human sat in his cell, doing nothing. Velra checked on him every few hours. Each time, she found him in the same position, sitting on his bed, hands on his knees, eyes closed or open, but always calm. He never complained. He never asked for anything. He never tried to talk to the guards through the door. It was strange behavior for a prisoner. Most prisoners shouted or cried or begged. Some tried to escape. Some refused to eat. Some hit the walls until their hands bled. Taeho did none of these things. He simply existed, quiet and patient, like a stone in a river. On the second day, Velra brought him his meal herself. She opened the cell door and stepped inside. The cell was small, with only a bed, a toilet, and a sink. There was no window except the tiny one in the door. Taeho looked up at her and smiled. "Good morning," he said. "It is not morning," Velra said. "In space, there is no morning." "I know," Taeho said, "but I like to pretend. It makes the days feel normal." Velra set the food tray on the bed next to him. It was simple food. Protein paste and water. Nothing special. "Eat," she said. "Thank you." Taeho picked up the food container and began to eat. He did not complain about the taste. He did not ask for something better. Velra watched him for a moment. Then she asked, "Why were you on our research vessel?" Taeho stopped eating. He looked at her with calm, dark eyes. "I cannot tell you that. Cannot or will not. Both." Velra felt her frustration rise. "You understand that you will be questioned at the central base. They have ways to make prisoners talk." "I know," Taeho said. His voice was still calm. "I have been questioned before. By many species. They all have their ways. And did you talk?" "Sometimes. When I wanted to." This answer surprised Velra. She had expected fear. She had expected worry. Instead, the human spoke as if interrogation was just another part of life. Something normal, something he had experienced many times. "What are you?" Velra asked. "Are you a spy? A soldier? A criminal?" Taeho smiled again. That same small, gentle smile. I am just a human, he said. Nothing more. Humans do not sneak onto military vessels. Humans do not stay calm when captured. Humans do not smile at their guards. Maybe you do not know humans very well. Velra did not like this answer. She turned to leave. Wait, Tejo said. She stopped, but did not turn around. Can I ask you a question? He said. You can ask. I may not answer. Fair enough. Tejo paused. What is your homeworld like? Velra turned to face him. This was not the question she expected. Prisoners usually asked about their fate, about their punishment, about escape. They did not ask about homeworlds. Why do you want to know? She asked. Because I am curious, Tejo said. I have never met a Torvian before I was captured. I know very little about your people. I would like to learn. Velra studied his face. He looked sincere. He did not look like he was trying to trick her or find information to use against her. Our homeworld is called Torvia, she said slowly. It is a cold planet. The sky is always gray. The ground is covered in ice and rock. We have tall mountains and deep valleys. The wind blows all the time. It sounds beautiful, Tejo said. Beautiful? Velra shook her head. It is harsh. Difficult. Many die young on Torvia. Only the strong survive. That is why it is beautiful, Tejo said. Harsh places create strong people. Your planet made you who you are. AC. Velra did not know how to respond. No one had ever called Torvia beautiful. Most species called it a frozen wasteland. A planet of ice and death. What about Earth? She asked. The question came out before she could stop it. What is your homeworld like? Tejo's eyes became distant. He looked past her, at something only he could see. Earth is many things, he said. We have mountains like Torvia. We have ice at the top and bottom of our world, but we also have warm places. Forests full of green trees. Oceans full of blue water. Deserts full of golden sand. It sounds soft, Velra said. Some parts are soft, Tejo agreed. But some parts are hard, very hard. And humans come from all of these places. We have learned to survive everywhere. In the heat, in the cold, in the water, in the mountains. We adapt. Adapt, Velra repeated. Yes, I have heard that about humans. You are good at adapting. We have to be, Tejo said. We are not born with claws or fangs or thick skin. We are not fast or strong compared to other animals on our planet, so we learn to use our minds, to make tools, to work together, to never give up. Never give up, Velra said. That sounds like a weakness. Sometimes giving up is the smart choice. Maybe, Tejo said. But we are not always smart. We are stubborn. When everything says we should lose, we keep fighting. When everyone says we should die, we keep living. It is not logical. It is just who we are. Velra looked at this small, soft human sitting in her ship's cell. He had no weapons, no armor, no natural defenses. By all logic, he should be afraid. He should be weak. But something in his eyes told her a different story. Something deep and old and dangerous. She left the cell without another word. She locked the door behind her and walked back to the command room. Her mind was full of questions. The pilot looked up as she entered. Everything okay with the prisoner? Yes, Velra said. Everything is fine, but she was not sure that was true. Something about Tejo made her uncomfortable. Not because he was threatening. He was polite and calm and kind. That was exactly what worried her. In all her years of service, she had never met a prisoner who was kind. She had never met an enemy who smiled. She had never met anyone who asked about her homeworld with genuine interest. Tejo was different, and Velra did not understand why. She sat in her chair and watched the stars. 3 more days until they reached the central base. 3 more days with the strange human who talked about adapting and never giving up. Velra had a feeling those 3 days would change everything. She just did not know how. In his cell, Tejo finished his meal and set the tray aside. He closed his eyes and breathed slowly. His body was still. His mind was active. He was still waiting, but the wait was almost over. The attack came on the fourth day. Velra was sleeping in her quarters when the first explosion shook the ship. She woke instantly, her body trained to respond to danger. Red lights flashed on the ceiling. Alarms screamed through the corridors. She grabbed her weapon and ran toward the command room. The pilot was already there, her hands moving fast over the controls. Her face was pale with fear. "What happened?" Velra demanded. "Raiders," the pilot said. "3 ships. They came out of nowhere. They hit our engines first." Velra looked at the screens. 3 small ships surrounded them like predators around wounded prey. They were fast and well armed. Their hulls were painted black, marked with symbols she recognized. "Kravoks pirates," she said. "The worst kind." The Kravoks were a violent species. They attacked ships for supplies, slaves, and sport. They took no prisoners. They showed no mercy. Another explosion rocked the ship. The lights flickered. Smoke began to fill the air. "They are boarding," the pilot said. Her voice was shaking. Velra heard the sound of metal cutting metal. The raiders were breaking through the outer hull. They would be inside within minutes. "Where are the soldiers?" Velra asked. 2 are dead. The explosion killed them. The other 2 are in the cargo area, trying to fight. 2 soldiers against Kravoks raiders. It was not enough. It was nowhere near enough. Velra checked her weapon, fully charged, 20 shots. She would make each one count. "Stay here," she told the pilot. "Lock the door. Do not open it for anyone except me." The pilot nodded. Tears were running down her face. She was young. She had probably never seen real combat. Velra left the command room and moved through the ship. The corridors were filled with smoke and red light. She could hear shouting and weapons fire from somewhere ahead. She found the 2 surviving soldiers near the cargo bay. They were hiding behind metal crates, firing at enemies she could not see. "How many?" Velra shouted. "At least 12, one soldier yelled back. "They keep coming." Velra looked around the corner. She saw the raiders. They were tall and muscular, with gray skin and 4 arms. Each arm held a weapon or blade. Their eyes glowed yellow in the smoke. 12 against 3. Bad odds. Velra fired her weapon. 1 raider fell. 11 left. The raiders returned fire. Energy blasts hit the walls around her. Metal melted and sparked. "Fall back," Velra ordered. "We cannot hold this position." They retreated down the corridor, firing as they moved. 1 soldier fell, hit by a blast to the chest. He did not get up. Now it was 2 against 11. They reached a junction where 2 corridors met. Velra pushed the surviving soldier into one passage. "Go to the command room," she said. "Protect the pilot. I will hold them here." "But officer..." "Go. That is an order." The soldier ran. Velra turned to face the corridor. The raiders were coming. She could hear their heavy footsteps. She could smell their strange, sharp scent. She fired her weapon. Again and again. Raiders fell. But more came. Her weapon ran out of power. She threw it aside and pulled her blade. The first raider reached her. She cut its arm. It screamed and swung at her with another arm. She dodged, but not fast enough. Pain exploded in her side. She looked down. A blade was stuck in her body. Between her ribs, blood poured out, dark blue against her skin. Velra fell to her knees. The world became blurry. The sounds became distant. More raiders came. They surrounded her. One of them laughed. A harsh, ugly sound. "Torvian officer," it said. "You fought well, but now you die." Velra could not respond. She could not move. She could only watch as the raider raised its blade for the killing blow. "This is how I die," she thought. On a transport ship, guarding a human prisoner. What a waste. The blade came down, and then everything changed. Something fast and dark flew past Velra. It hit the raider with the blade and knocked it back. There was a sound of breaking bones. The raider fell and did not move. Velra blinked. She tried to focus her eyes. She saw a figure standing between her and the remaining raiders. It was small. It moved like water. It had no weapons, only its hands. It was Teho, the human, the prisoner. He had escaped his cell somehow. He stood in the corridor, facing 10 armed Kravox raiders. He wore only his gray prisoner clothes. His feet were bare. His hands were open at his sides. "What is this?" One raider laughed. "A human? A tiny, soft human?" Teho did not answer. He did not smile. His face was completely different now. All the gentleness was gone. All the kindness was gone. What remained was something ancient. Something cold. Something Velra had never seen before. The raider attacked. It swung all 4 arms at once, blades flashing in the red light. Teho moved. Velra had never seen anything move so fast. One moment, Teho was standing still. The next moment, the raider was on the ground, with its neck bent at a wrong angle. The other raiders hesitated. They looked at their fallen companion. They looked at the small human standing over the body. "What are you?" one raider asked. Teho looked up at them. His dark eyes held no fear, no mercy, no doubt. "I am what happens when you hurt someone I decided to protect," he said. Then he moved again. Velra watched through fading vision as Teho became something impossible. He flowed through the raiders like wind through leaves. Every movement was perfect. Every strike was deadly. He did not waste energy. He did not hesitate. He did not stop. One raider fell, then another, then another. They tried to shoot him. He was not there. They tried to cut him. He was already behind them. They tried to grab him. He broke their arms like dry sticks. In less than a minute, all 10 raiders were on the ground, dead or dying. The corridor was silent, except for the alarms. Teho turned and walked back to Velra. He knelt beside her. His face was calm again, but different than before. There was sadness in his eyes now. And concern. "You are badly hurt," he said. "How?" Velra tried to speak. Her voice was weak. "How did you—" "Not now," Teho said. "We need to stop the bleeding." He pressed his hands against her wound. The pain was terrible. Velra screamed. "I am sorry," Teho said. "But you will die if we do not stop this." Velra looked at his face. This small human. This soft, weak human. He had just killed 10 Kravox raiders with his bare hands. He had moved like nothing she had ever seen. "What are you?" she whispered. Teho looked at her with those dark, ancient eyes. "I will tell you later," he said. "First, you need to live." Then darkness took her, and she knew nothing more. Velra woke in the medical room. White lights shone above her head. The ship was quiet. The alarms had stopped. She tried to sit up, but pain shot through her side. She looked down and saw bandages wrapped around her body. Someone had treated her wound. "Do not move," a voice said. Velra turned her head. Teho sat in a chair beside her bed. His gray prisoner clothes were stained with dark blood. Some of it was blue. From Velra. Most of it was other colors. From the raiders. "The ship," Velra said. Her voice was rough. "What happened?" "The ship is safe," Teho said. The remaining raiders retreated to their vessels. They left. They left? The Kravox never leave survivors. They do when their boarding team dies, Teho said. They saw what happened. They decided to find easier prey. Velra stared at him. In the white light of the medical room, he looked ordinary again. Small, soft, harmless, but she knew better now. "The pilot and the soldier?" she asked. "Alive, scared, but alive." The pilot sent a distress signal. "Help is coming." Velra let her head fall back against the bed. She was tired, so tired. But her mind was full of questions. "I need to know," she said. "What happened in that corridor? What you did? I have never seen anything like it." Teho was quiet for a long moment. He looked at his hands, which were clean now. He had washed the blood away. "You asked me before what I am," he said. "I told you I was just a human." That was true. But it was not the whole truth. "Then tell me the whole truth." Teho looked at her. His eyes were sad. "On Earth, there are people who train their whole lives to fight. We call them by different names in different places. Warriors, soldiers, masters. They learn to use their bodies as weapons. They learn to move faster than thought. They learn to become something more than normal humans. You are one of these warriors?" "I was trained from childhood," Teho said. "My grandfather taught me. His father taught him. The knowledge goes back many generations. It is old. Older than any nation on Earth. But you were so calm," Velra said. "So gentle. You smiled at me. You asked about my home world. The greatest warriors learn to be peaceful," Teho said. "Fighting is easy. Anyone can learn to fight. But learning when not to fight, learning to stay calm when others panic, learning to be kind when the world is cruel, that is the true skill." Velra thought about this. It made a strange kind of sense. The strongest person in the room does not need to prove their strength. They can afford to be gentle. "Why were you on the research vessel?" she asked. "Why did you let yourself be captured?" Teho smiled. But it was a sad smile. "I was looking for something. Information about a weapon the Torvian Empire is building. A weapon that could destroy millions of lives." "You are a spy." "I prefer the word scout," Teho said. "I was sent to find the truth. If the weapon exists, my people need to know." "Your people? The humans?" "Humans and others. We have allies. Species who believe in peace. Species who do not want war." Velra felt confused. She had been told her whole life that humans were weak and primitive, that they were no threat to the Empire, that they barely mattered in galactic politics. But this human had killed 10 Kravox raiders with bare hands. This human had infiltrated a Torvian research vessel. This human spoke of alliances and weapons and galactic peace. "I should arrest you," Velra said. "I should lock you back in your cell." "You could try," Teho said. There was no threat in his voice. Just simple truth. "But I will not," Velra said. "Why?" "Because you saved my life. Because you protected the pilot and the soldier. Because..." She paused, searching for words. "Because you did not have to. You could have let us die. You could have escaped. But you stayed and fought for us." Teho nodded slowly. "When I saw them hurting you, I could not just watch. You were not my enemy. You were just a soldier doing her duty. You treated me with respect. You asked about my homeworld. You listened. So you saved me because I was kind to you?" "I saved you because you deserved to live," Teho said. Kindness was just the proof. Velra felt something strange in her chest. Not pain from the wound, something else, something she had not felt in a long time. Gratitude, respect, maybe even the beginning of trust. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now we wait for help to arrive. Then you go back to your people, and I go back to mine. They will ask what happened. They will want to know how one human killed so many raiders." "Tell them the truth," Teho said. "Tell them that humans are not what they think we are." "They will not believe me." "Maybe not, but you will know, and that is enough." Velra thought about reporting to High Command. Telling them about the soft human who became a storm of death. Telling them about the warrior who trained from childhood. Telling them about the spy who stayed to fight for his captors. They would think she was crazy. They would think the blood loss had damaged her mind. But she would know the truth. She had seen it with her own eyes. "Teho," she said. "Yes, thank you," he smiled, the gentle smile she had seen before. "You are welcome, Velra." They sat in silence for a while. The ship hummed around them. Stars moved past the windows. Somewhere in the distance, help was coming. "Can I ask you something?" Velra said. "Of course. The way you fought. The way you moved. It looked impossible. Like magic or technology, I do not understand. How is it possible for a human body to do those things? Tejo thought about the question. Do you know how predators on Earth hunt? He asked. No. There are animals called lions. They are big and strong and fast. They have claws and teeth. They are perfect hunters. Like Kravoks, Velra said. Yes, but humans hunted lions. We killed them with sticks and stones. We were slower, weaker, smaller. But we won. How? Because we never stopped, Tejo said. We could run longer than any animal. We could think faster than any animal. We could adapt to any situation. Lions had strength. Humans had persistence. Persistence, Velra repeated. We are the species that walked across continents. That sailed across oceans. That flew beyond our sky. Not because we were the strongest or fastest, but because we never gave up. We kept going when everything said we should stop. Velra looked at this small human with new eyes. She had thought weakness was written in his soft skin and small body. She had been wrong. The weakness was a mask. Behind it was something harder than steel. Something older than empires. Something that had outlasted ice ages and wars and plagues. Your species is terrifying, Velra said. Tejo laughed. It was a warm sound. Full of life. We are also kind, he said. We create beautiful music and art. We love our families. We dream of peace. The fighting is just one part of what we are. But when you need to fight, when we need to fight, Tejo agreed, we become something else. Something that does not stop until the threat is gone. Velra closed her eyes. She needed rest. Her body was tired. Her mind was full. Sleep, Tejo said. I will watch over you. You are still a prisoner, she said weakly. I know. But tonight, I am also your guardian. Sleep, Velra. You are safe. And somehow, despite everything, she believed him. She let herself fall into sleep, trusting the human warrior to keep watch. She dreamed of frozen mountains and warm smiles and storms that walked like men. The rescue ship arrived the next morning. Velra watched through the window as the large Torvian military vessel connected to their damaged transport. Soldiers in full armor entered the ship, weapons ready. They expected danger. They found only bodies and survivors. An officer named Darrow led the rescue team. He was old and experienced, with scars on his face and doubt in his eyes. Officer Velra, he said. What happened here? Velra sat up in the medical bed. Her wound was healing, but she was still weak. Tejo stood nearby, his hands bound again. He had allowed the soldiers to restrain him without resistance. Kravoks raiders attacked us, Velra said. They killed 2 of my soldiers. They boarded the ship. How did you survive? Darrow asked. The Kravoks take no prisoners. Velra looked at Tejo. He met her eyes but said nothing. He was leaving the choice to her. She could lie. She could say she fought off the raiders herself. She could say the enemy made a mistake and retreated. No one would question her, but she was tired of lies. Tired of pretending. She wanted someone else to know the truth. The prisoner saved us, she said. Darrow turned to look at Tejo. His expression was confused. The human? This small creature? Yes. He escaped his cell during the attack. He killed 10 raiders with his bare hands. I watched him do it. The room was silent. Darrow's soldiers looked at each other. The pilot and the surviving soldier, who stood in the corner, nodded their agreement. It is true, the pilot said. I saw him fight. He moved like nothing I have ever seen. Darrow studied Tejo for a long moment. The human stood calmly, his face peaceful, his eyes clear. Impossible, Darrow said finally. Humans are weak. Everyone knows this. Everyone is wrong, Velra said. Darrow shook his head. This will need to be investigated. High Command will want to question him. They can try, Velra said. But I would advise caution. This human is not what he appears to be. Darrow gave orders to his soldiers. They surrounded Tejo and led him away toward the rescue ship. Before he left, he looked back at Velra one more time. "Thank you," he said, "for telling the truth." "I owed you that much," she replied. Then he was gone, disappearing into the larger ship with armed guards on all sides. Velra stayed in the medical room while the rescue team checked the transport for damage. They found the bodies of the raiders in the corridors. They counted them again and again, unable to believe what they saw. 10 dead, one soldier reported. All killed by hand. No weapons marks, no energy burns, just broken bones and crushed throats. "One human did this?" another soldier asked. "That is what Officer Velra claims." Impossible, but the evidence was there. The bodies did not lie. Something had killed those raiders with terrible efficiency. Something fast and powerful and precise. Velra knew she would spend the rest of her life thinking about what she had seen. The gentle prisoner who became a god of battle. The soft human who moved like death itself. The kind voice that promised safety in the middle of chaos. She had been taught that strength meant size. That power meant weapons. That war was won by armies and ships and technology. Tejo had shown her something different. He had shown her that true strength came from within. From training. From will. From the refusal to give up when everything said you should. Humans were not weak. They were something far more dangerous. They were adaptable. Persistent. Unpredictable. They looked soft on the outside. But inside, they were made of something harder than any blade. The Torvian Empire had underestimated them. The whole galaxy had underestimated them. Velra would not make that mistake again. 3 days later, she stood in the office of Commander Yara, the highest officer at the central base. The commander was old and wise, with silver skin and eyes that had seen too many wars. "Your report is interesting, Officer Velra," the commander said. "Very interesting. I wrote only what I saw, Commander. A human who fights like a demon. A prisoner who saves his captors. A spy who refuses to run." The commander shook her head. "This Tejo is either a hero or a fool." "Maybe both," Velra said. "We tried to question him," the commander said. "He answered some things. He refused to answer others. We could not break him. What will happen to him?" The commander was quiet for a moment. "We are releasing him." Velra blinked. "Releasing him? He is a spy. He infiltrated our vessel. He also saved the lives of 3 Torvian citizens. He killed enemies of our empire. And frankly, after reading your report and seeing the evidence, I do not want to keep him here. You are afraid of him. I am wise enough to know when a predator is too dangerous to cage," the commander said. "This human walked into our territory on purpose. He let himself be captured on purpose. He could have escaped at any time. He stayed because he chose to. Why would he do that? Because he wanted us to see," the commander said. "He wanted us to know what humans can do. This was not a spy mission, officer. This was a message." Velra understood now. Tejo had never been their prisoner. He had been a messenger. A warning. A demonstration of what humanity could become when pushed. "What do we do with this message?" she asked. "We remember it," the commander said. "We tell others. We make sure the Empire understands that humans are not prey. They are something else entirely." Velra left the commander's office and walked through the base. She found Tejo in a holding area near the exit, waiting for transport off the station. His hands were free now. He wore clean clothes. He looked calm. "As always, you are leaving," she said. "Yes, your commander was kind enough to let me go." "Kind? Or smart?" Tejo smiled, that gentle, warm smile she had seen so many times. "Both, I think." Velra stood before him. She did not know what to say. This human had changed everything she believed. He had saved her life. He had opened her eyes to a truth she never expected. "Will I see you again?" she asked. "Maybe. The galaxy is large, but paths cross in strange ways. If they do, I hope we meet as friends, not as guard and prisoner." Tejo reached out and touched her arm. It was a gentle touch, full of warmth. We were always friends, Velra. You just did not know it yet. Tears formed in Velra's eyes. She blinked them away. Torvian officers did not cry. But this moment felt like more than duty. It felt like goodbye to something important. Go back to your people, Teho said. Tell them what you saw. Tell them that humans are not weak. We are not soft. We are not prey. We are something the galaxy has never seen before. And what is that? Teho's eyes changed. For a moment, she saw the warrior again. The god of battle. The storm that had destroyed 10 raiders without effort. We are the species that refuses to die, he said. The species that keeps fighting when all hope is lost. The species that turns fear into fuel and pain into power. We are humanity. Then his eyes softened again. He smiled one last time. And we are just getting started. He walked away, toward the transport that would take him home. Velra watched until he disappeared from sight. She stood alone in the corridor, thinking about everything that had happened. The attack, the battle, the truth. She had taken the human as a duty, a burden, a waste of her skills. She had been wrong. She had witnessed something rare, something precious, something that would stay with her forever. She had seen a god of battle. And he had shown her mercy. Velra turned and walked back toward her quarters. She had reports to write, stories to tell, warnings to give. The galaxy needed to know the truth about humans, and she was going to make sure they heard it.